Hey guys, welcome to our weekly live training we do every Thursday at 2 p.m. Appreciate you joining us, or even if you watch it after the fact, that's totally great with us as long as we're getting the information out there, and hopefully it's been helpful for you. If you haven't been following along, we've been doing a series, an email training series this month on prospecting. Basically all types of prospecting, how to get in touch with leads, how to follow up with them, what to say, all of that kind of stuff, hopefully to make you better skilled on the phone, better able to connect with customers and build relationships. And today we're going to be starting a series with video that's going to kind of mirror that email series. By the way, I'll put a link in the comments for how to subscribe to that email training series if you're not on it already. But we're going to be talking specifically today about knowing your numbers. And I know as soon as I start talking math, some of you are automatically in, you're the analysis people, and you're going, man, I can't wait to hear what's next. And then others of you are you're clicking off the video, you're not listening, and I hear you, because a lot of times when we start talking about analysis and math, you get into the rut, and it's not interesting, it gets boring, and quite frankly, it's going to be unrealistic to keep up with. But there's a couple of reasons why I think knowing your numbers in prospecting is hugely important. The first reason is that when you know your numbers in prospecting, it gives you motivation to keep doing it. So if this is all a numbers game and you know that you're going to close 1 in 24 leads, that means when you get a no, or someone who's upset that you called them, or someone who didn't answer, you move on to the next one, and you actually use that as motivation, as hey, I'm that much closer to the closed deal. The second reason why knowing your numbers is important is because if you know your numbers and you keep track of them regularly, if they start to deviate from what you know to be true over time, a lot of times it can signal something's wrong. So it's a great metric to kind of keep track of so that you can see, oh, I'm doing something different now, and you can actually point to numbers rather than just sort of a general feeling, or, oh, I went through a dry spell, that must mean something's wrong. If you're looking at your numbers on a regular basis, it can really help in terms of being able to diagnose problems. So I know a lot of coaches will kind of say what I just told you, hey, you got to know your numbers, you got to know your numbers. And the reality is a lot of them will say that there's this list of statistics that you have to know, and that might be helpful at some level, but I'm a realist. I know that a lot of you won't do it if it's super difficult. You won't keep track of your numbers. So I'm going to give you 3 numbers that you can keep track of that will make you a better prospector. Okay, and this is whether you're dealing with online warm leads like you would through using our tools, or if you're doing cold calling, or if you're door knocking, or any type of prospecting. If you track these 3 numbers, it's going to make you a better prospector. So number 1, the first number that you're going to want to, and this is specifically for phone, but it's contact rate. In other words, of the total number of leads that you generate, how many of them, what percentage of them are you getting a hold of? Now, tracking your number and knowing your number is most important here, but if you're doing online internet leads like you would with our system, whether it's from Craigslist or Google pay-per-click, you should have a contact rate of about 50%. In other words, you should reach about half of your leads. You should have a conversation with about half of your leads. That's pretty normal. Again, if you're dealing with cold leads, FSBO leads, expired, stuff like that, your contact rate's probably going to be lower, but you still want to track the contact rate, again, if nothing else than to know your numbers, know that this is a numbers game, and if you just reach this many people, you're going to have success eventually. And again, knowing your numbers helps you diagnose as well. The second number that you want to keep track of is the success rate. Now, the success rate as we define it is, did I accomplish the goal during my initial phone call? Did I have a positive interaction for? So if you're using our approach, our soft hand customer service approach when it comes to dealing with warm internet leads, the success rate should be around 75%. The reality is you're dealing with warm leads. They already know you at some level. They've been on your website. And so when you reach out to them, if you use our approach, you should be able to get about 3/4 of them set up for the automated search or more. Now, again, for other types of leads, for FSBO leads, you may be trying to set appointments. And so your success rate should be, it's probably not going to be 75%, of course, but, when you get a hold of someone, if you're using the right scripts and such, you should have some defining success rate. What equals a success for my phone call here? And then you should know, of the people that I got a hold of, how many of them did I have success with, did I have that positive interaction with on my first phone call, okay? And then the third number, this is the most important because this is what translates marketing into closings, into commission checks. And this number is your closing rate. Okay, so your closing rate is just a ratio of the total number of leads that you have versus how many of those leads ultimately go to closing. So the first two numbers you could get during your first prospecting session. Obviously it'll normalize over time, but you get on the phone today with your leads, you could get a contact rate and a success rate. The closing rate's going to take a little time. Usually will take several months to develop a closing rate because that's when your first leads begin to close. But the national average, according to NAR, and a lot of the lead aggregators will say this as well, is about 4%, or about one lead for every 24 or 25 leads, or one deal for every 24 or 25 leads. Again, this is one of those numbers that at first glance you're going 24 leads to close a deal. At second glance, you go, okay, well, when I get a no answer, someone does, and I don't contact them, I just move on to the next one because that was one of the 23 that isn't going to work out. So in some level, the numbers game is actually comforting when you run up against those, because quite frankly, it's demotivating. No one, I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody loves prospecting, at least not initially. Maybe you grow to love it a little bit over time, but nobody loves prospecting. And the reason is because you're going to get those rejections. You're going to get those no answers. And so the successful people on the phone, it's not that they experience less failure, it's that they experience failure and then keep on going. Partially because they realize this is a numbers game and they just keep on. They know, hey, as long as I hit my metrics, I will have success over time. So again, three numbers that you have to keep track of: closing rate, success rate, and contact rate. In my opinion, you have to have a CRM. Of course, we offer a free one, pipelinedatabase.com. I'll put a link in the comments, or I'll try to remember. Sometimes I forget, but pipelinedatabase.com to sign up for a free one, and then just take notes on your contacts. And then what I do is on Monday morning, I log into my database and I basically review my notes. Okay, I generated 12 leads last week, or whatever the number is, and I reached 6 of them. Perfect. My contact rate is 50%, right where it should be. And out of those 6, I got 4 of them signed up for the automated search. Great. My success rate is 75%. And then, of course, over time, I'll be able to track closing rate. How many leads did I generate over this period of time versus how many closings I had from those leads. So, like I said, 3 numbers. Really easy to track. It'll take you an extra 5 minutes to just put together these numbers once a week or so. And then, of course, at the end of the month, as long as you've jotted those numbers down somewhere, you can kind of average them together. Of course, if you have any questions about tracking your numbers, comment below. I'm sure either the people in the group will help you, or one of the coaches here would be happy to jump in. And the reality is, some of you are looking at me when I start talking about numbers and 1 in 24 leads, and you're thinking, I don't even have 24 leads. And of course, that would be your first hurdle to overcome. If you don't have leads, if you don't have a good lead source, if you don't even know where to start, check out our tools. I had an agent that signed up with us at the beginning of February. In fact, we did a great interview with him. He's an awesome dude, and he's already generated over 180 leads in 2 weeks. Now he's put the work in. I'm not taking credit for his work. He's put up a bunch of ads, but he's just followed a pretty simple formula of placing ads, using good capture tools, and 180 leads in 2 weeks. You can't beat that for a single agent. So again, check out the tools. I know it sounds unbelievable. Keep an eye on this group, because we're going to be releasing that interview hopefully the next couple of weeks or so, and you'll get to see this agent talk about his experience so far. But in the meantime, check out the tools. If we have availability in your market, you'll be able to see that right away. And if you have any questions about any of the numbers, any of the training that we do, feel free to comment below. We don't bite. We're open for the discussion. You guys have a great day. We'll see you next Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern. We'll be continuing on with this prospecting series where we'll talk about the next big key in being a successful prospector. Thanks a lot, guys.